Hello, welcome to the show. It's the Man and Market Show, and I'm Charles Podge, your host. Now, one of the most trending stories within the economy is the sharp fall in coffee prices from highs of about 16,000 Uganda shillings to lows of about 9,000 to 8,000 Uganda shillings. Now, this is an over 50% drop, and it has got a number of people worrying. But those in business, especially in the value chain for coffee, many are counting losses to date. Now, we'll be revisiting details of that story and trying to find out what is driving this reality and what are the dealers or the different players along the coffee value chain saying about this new reality. Once again, it's Man and Markets. Welcome to the show. First off, we're looking at the coffee prices coming down and what the people in the value chain, the players in the different spaces or stages of the coffee value chain saying about this new reality.
The challenge we have currently, and it is now the talk of the day in our country, are the coffee fluctuations. Because we know when you are dealing in a commodity, sometimes it's going to be bumper, sometimes it is going to fall. The problem we have when it comes to coffee prices is even those who don't know what they are saying, they try to explain why the prices are fluctuating. So to us who are working with the farmers direct on the ground, we know that now Brazil is back into the market, Vietnam is back into the market, Colombia is also doing well, and those are the big boys in the business. Two, it is also, and we are a liberal economy. Our country, we are a liberal economy, but there is some little bit of control which is needed to be put in place, a little bit of it, because the middlemen, sometimes they mess up things. You cannot have a buyer seated in Switzerland, having an agent seated in Kampala. The Kampala agent has an agent seated in Masaka. The Masaka agent has an agent in Chotera. And they have boys who ride motorcycles around the community. Everyone cheats the farmer. So that's why as Celebrate Ministries, we cut out the middlemen, we built our own factory, value addition, and we export. We direct export. From where I'm standing now, we export to Europe. We cut out the middlemen. And by doing that, we are saying that we are able to bring the premium price and we pay our farmers very well. So the prices are based on the international coffee production. There's nothing like, because we know what is going on internationally and in the markets. Probably another challenge we have is our representation in the coffee bodies around the world. Because people decide for us, maybe we don't have a big voice to say, to stamp our feet on the ground and advocate. But besides that, we know very well that there's always a season, bumper season, and the prices fluctuated season. This work, we said the one way for us to make a difference is to add value onto our coffee. So we went in for a right machine, and our dream is to have an export center here. So far, our factory goes up to grading. So we grade our coffee, and even when we take markets internationally, we know that we can process our coffee because our farmers are producing a good crop. We have taught them harvesting, pre-harvesting practices, post-harvesting practices, and they bring everything to the factory. We process it, we grade our coffee, and the last bit of grading and cleaning, we take it to one factory in Kampala, and the next thing, we send it outside. So it is the international buyer and us and the farmer. We are facilitators. The price the international buyer gives us is the price we give the farmers. So that's how we started building our factory, knowing that unless we own a factory and we get engaged into export, there is no way we can bypass middlemen. And we are also adding value to our coffee. We take part of the coffee, we roast it, and we package, and we are instilling a culture of coffee consumption, taking our own coffee we have grown, which is a very good big thing, and our farmers are making a difference. We've created small businesses, people who have opened businesses dealing in our coffee. People have opened coffee spots where people go take coffee, and drinking our coffee. So we've created also community-based businesses based on our factory and processing of our coffee.
Now, there seems to be a shift in focus for markets of Ugandan commodities. Of course, initially or traditionally, we were looking at Europe mainly, and of course, to a certain extent, the US or North America, so to speak. However, over time, we are seeing a shift where a lot of focus is being put on the African continent, but then also the Middle East.
We very well appreciate that the Middle East and the global North are ahead of us as Sub-Saharan Africa in terms of digital transformation and making advances in technology. There are emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, robotics, and many others which are driving socio-economic transformation. And there are many things, many technologies we can learn from the Middle East. For instance, you will be pleased to note that in the Middle East, they've been able to regulate the use of social media, which we are still grappling with as a country and as countries in East Africa. They are also advanced in terms of adapting artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies. And these are the conversations we are going to have here to see how we can learn from these countries and then be able to transfer technology, transfer skills, transfer this knowledge, and also draw lessons to improve the way we do things here. Because technology is what is driving transformation all over the world. And we have to integrate all of these technologies into our day-to-day work. So we appreciate that countries in the Middle East, countries in Europe, America, have made appreciable strides in terms of integrating technology. So through these discussions, we are able to draw lessons so that we don't reinvent the wheel. Where, for instance, they have gone through a process, and through sharing, it should take us a shorter period for us to integrate and be able to adopt some of these technologies.
We have looked at every opportunity that there is that we can bridge, and we believe that the easiest way to actually support close to 1.4 billion youth that will be living in the Middle East and Africa by 2050 is by creating a collaborative platform where we can all speak and chat a way to ensure that we have an exchange of goods, services, and knowledge for that matter. As we speak about the Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit, and as we work closely with Commercial Business Council, at the end of the summit, we are going to draft a paper, and as I've heard the directive of the President, together with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, an investment paper for ICT in Africa and especially for Uganda. And this should be one that should be able to accelerate investment in digital health, agri-tech, edutech, fintech, and the likes. We have seen a growth in investment in fintech alone. The biggest fintechs and the startups in Uganda and Africa have for the last 5 years raised close to $1.5 billion. This figure can multiply in very many numbers, and the Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit should be one of those places to enable that multiplication and acceleration.
First of all, we need to understand that Africa is home to 1.4 billion people, and the Middle East is home to 400 million people. I think this represents an immense opportunity to develop the digital pathway. So it can be an incredible opportunity to use the digital transformation that we are talking about during this summit to transform that relationship between the Middle East and Africa so that we build a cooperation on digitalization and digital transformation on the African continent. We both have our advantages. Africa is a young population. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of motivation for people to take advantage of the digital economy. And in the Middle East, they have access to a lot of resources, a lot of capacities, and I think if both regions can work together, we can really work for growth and prosperity for both of us.